If I believe there's a reason for this pain I'm going through, if I believe that leaving me was all that you could do, if I believe that I can feel you by my side, I'll make it through the night. If I believe that time will teach me how to find my way, if I believe that broken hearts grow stronger every day, if I believe that now you're dancing across the sky, I just might get by. If I believe that memories won't always hurt this much, if I believe that I will see your face again, I can wait till then. If I believe I'll hold you in my arms again, I can wait. I know that I can wait. I can wait till then. I can wait till then.
Hello, Somerville. My name is Joanne Ravicchio, and welcome. I have two special guests tonight, Lynn and Gary from Team Sharing. We've come a long way. I remember having Cheryl and I think it was Kathy Leonard on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I wanted her to come on the show. But I'm very happy to have the two of you here because I want people to realize how much we've expanded in a way we've really never wanted to have happen. You know, why don't you explain why you got involved, the both of you? We'll start with whoever.
I'd say selfish reasons. People always say the stuff that we're doing is, we're doing great things for people and stuff. We're really not. We're doing it for ourselves. It's a way of coping and helping is healing. And we got.
We have your son right here.
Yeah, Brian.
Right.
We lost him in February of 2018, and he was a very active in.
What is his birthday?
His birthday is July 16th.
That's what Frankie's birthday is.
Is it really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
What a
My
coincidence.
Frankie was born July 16th of 77.
Wow.
Wow.
Imagine that. And you lost him. It's current. It's within a year.
It's fresh with me. It's it's still pretty raw.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he was one that he had his struggles and he was fighting it and doing pretty well. He fought addiction for 7 years, and really thought he was on a good path. We were preparing his wedding. He had a child on the way, and unfortunately, we had to change our plans and plan his funeral instead.
I'm so sorry. I just noticed he looks just like you.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah, no
does.
denying. I couldn't deny him. Yeah.
No, he couldn't.
And
And I've seen your grandson. He's so beautiful.
yeah, he did. He left us a great gift.
Absolutely. And you've done a great job dealing with it. Gary has helped plan and drove us to all these different events with team sharing, down to Washington. You know, put on his music.
Worn a tutu.
Yeah, for a tutu. Yeah, for a fundraiser, it was all well worth it.
Oh yeah.
You did
And
a
hey, if
great job.
I can make somebody chuckle and laugh when a grieving mother or something, if I can at least get a smile out of somebody, it's worth making a little bit of a fool of myself sometimes. I'm old enough now. I'm old enough now. I don't care about being cool anymore.
But you certainly are.
Well, thank you.
And Lynn.
Yep, so I lost my son Jeff in February of 2017.
Wow.
He has struggled for nearly 10 years. Again, he had been in recovery for close to 6 months, and we thought we had turned the corner with him. And unfortunately, he overdosed and passed away at a facility that he was living at that time.
Goodness.
Yeah. So, and I echo Gary's comments. I do it to help others. It makes me feel good, and also we all know, we understand where each one is coming from. We understand the pain, and it is comforting to be around those that understand where you're coming from.
Absolutely.
It's a big
Where's
family.
Jeff's picture.
Jeff is right here.
Oh, see, I
Yep.
saw Brian way down
Yep.
here, and Jeff is right
Yep.
here because it's eye level.
Yep.
I didn't see
Yep.
him. I always look at that picture, and it's such a beautiful picture. You know, we have obviously a Patriot fam,
Mm-hmm.
and he loved horses.
Yep. So he was actually living at a farm. It was an all-inclusive therapy farm, and they used the Care Farm model to treat the addiction and other mental health issues. So Bubba was his horse that he was kind of drawn to at this facility, and Bubba gave Jeff a sense of purpose, so it was perfect.
Oh, that's good. And where was that?
In Bolton, actually, Bolton, Mass.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I expected you to tell me it was in another state.
No, it was
Yeah.
in Bolton. So,
Unbelievable.
yeah.
So now, since you started team sharing, how many different states are involved now? It's now nationally involved.
Well, we have the national chapter,
Right.
and then we have 15 state
15
chapters,
state
and
chapters, yeah.
we also have a siblings chapter now.
And what's the
So-
sibling chapter called?
The sibling chapter.
Yeah, it's team
I'm
sharing
sorry.
siblings.
Sharing siblings, yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
It's recent. It's new. It is new.
That's good.
Yeah.
It really is good.
So it's a great thing for the brothers and sisters of, our children who we lost, because obviously we have each other, but the other surviving siblings are often not
No,
really
they
left
don't.
behind, but,
So they have a private group where they can express it, because they're not going to express it with us, with the parents. And we
Right.
have our private group where we get to express with each other, and we all understand where we're coming
Is
from.
it only on Facebook?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's an online sibling support group.
As well as team sharing.
Right.
Right.
If anybody out there that has lost a child that would want, I find it comforting that you have a place to go at any time of the day, that someone is up. You can always put a message through and someone will say, I'm there with you. And you could chat back and forth until you're both ready to go to bed, or feel that you're feeling a little bit better, and and then
A common theme, too, is with parents of loss is that their children aren't forgotten. So we acknowledge the dates, their anniversaries, their birthdays, and we acknowledge the child and the
I know
parents.
that too. That's something that I found very helpful. One day I said, reach out to Joanne Revigio. She lost her son Frankie. Or if it's their birthdays. I think that's a great. That was really wonderful that you added that to your daily page.
Well, Cheryl was instrumental in starting that. Cheryl Jaware, as most people, not all people, but most people know, she's the founder and president of Team Sharing. And it was very important to Cheryl to have her child and all of the other children acknowledged on their birthdays and their anniversaries, because a lot of people are afraid to bring up our children's names.
Absolutely.
They're afraid, we're going to cry, it's going to hurt us. So they kind of just avoid the subject and the topic. So again, this is one way of acknowledging that our child is still important and that their life mattered.
All right. So we do have pictures. I should probably have brought it over. But anyway, to make a long story short, and I'll bring pictures over in a few minutes. The reason why we all meet and we all go and go to rallies, because we're really upset about what's happened to everybody's child, not only our own. So we go to places like, the Sackler museums, wherever they are, and in front of Purdue Pharmaceutical, and we walk around with the pictures of our lost loved ones. We want people to know what has happened. And I always feel that it's more effective in numbers. The more and more of us that get together and show them that we're not happy, that our children will never come back to us, and they're responsible for this. We go to the courthouses, and we're out there with the pictures, and it was nice that we have a friend, John Lally, that went out and made posters, huge posters of each individual.
You can't walk away from that without being touched by it. Even if you haven't been touched by the few people that haven't been touched by the epidemic, you can't go by his display without being touched by it. Because, look at these kids. This is not what people envision the stigma.
Right.
It's, everybody's in their mind, people who haven't dealt with this and don't know these kids, they think of, methadone mile. That's
Right.
the picture in their mind. And even this has exploded in recent years, obviously. And these kids all had hopes and dreams, and their parents did.
Right.
And even people, you picture people have the image of people in methadone mile. Well, at one point too, they had hopes and dreams, and their parents had hopes and dreams. That was somebody's child that everybody was, oh, look how cute he is, or how adorable she is, and they had all these dreams for them. And
Yeah.
it's just, people have to realize they're humans. And these pictures, show it all. These aren't all pictures of what they were, years before their addiction. These are pictures of many of them. This is,
With the economy.
people don't realize they know people in addiction, that they might not even realize it. They're functioning every day. And, we hear about it in out in towns where I live out in Maynard, and unfortunately we don't hear about the problem so much out there. You hear about when somebody's lost. That's when you hear about it. And then everybody's in shock.
No, people don't like to talk about it.
And it's everyday people.
It's amazing. I don't know about yourself, but being out there and talking about it and showing pictures of Frankie and his addiction, that a lot of people come up to me and talk about maybe how they were addicted, or they were addicted, their children were addicted, and they're in recovery now. It's amazing how people will open up to you because you're in the same situation.
Right. They know they're not alone.
Yeah, And
And it's a great conversation starter. You know, if you're open or talking about Frankie and you're open about everything, then it gives them the opportunity. It opens the door for them to share their story, whether
Right.
it's about them or a family member. Because for so long we have not talked about it.
right, and we have to keep them alive. So that's why we have the pictures. That's why we talk about the situations, because all people have in their mind, and not all people, but quite a few of them, because of stigma, they don't realize, like Frankie was a postal worker. You know, he made 52 grand a year, and that money all went to his addiction. But they need to know the story. They need to know how our children got addicted and how they ended up passing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's important that people don't have a negative. We don't need the negativity. We need the positive part of the situation. And at that point, if we talk about it, like you said, it opens up the door for conversation. And hopefully, more and more people will come out and discuss it. You know, I've been working on getting a group here, which is going to happen really, really soon, called Mercy Street. And that's where everybody comes in and sits in a room, and their siblings, their parents, there are people that are in recovery, and everybody discuss their story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good, because then the person that's in recovery realizes how a parent feels when they lose their child.
Right.
You know, and last week I went up to New Hampshire and I spoke to that group and, you know, explained, you know, my situation. It's good, and sometimes it will get rid of a lot of the stigma. We still have a long way to go.
Oh, yes.
A long, long way to go. Well, a lot of people don't really, and I did, you know, I didn't understand addiction when you know, for the many years while my son was fighting it. And it probably wasn't until the last year of his life that I really understood that, one, he couldn't think rationally anymore like I do. He wasn't capable of it. You know, I would not, you know, it was that, you know, why don't you, you know, why doesn't this common sense to you? You know, and it, because the brain's been altered.
Right.
And they're not capable of it. But the one thing I will say, I wish I had said it to him when he was here, is how proud I was of him, or I am of him, because I know he had to be stronger every day to survive than I've ever had to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I know that my Frankie, 2 days before he passed, he was crying to me and he said that he didn't want to die.
Mm-hmm.
And but I always knew deep down inside that I was going to bury him. But I didn't think I was going to bury him that soon.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a tough situation. Parents, please talk to your children. Teach them, educate them about drugs. Don't use that, not my child syndrome,
Educate yourselves.
because you don't want to say, I should have did something when they're 6 feet under. I mean, I realize that not every situation is the same, and that a lot of us
Right.
parents have gone the extra mile to help them, but unfortunately we still lose them.
Right.
Well, there's no book out there yet that is the, you know, the playbook to the right way to do things. And every person dealing with addiction is different.
Right.
Well, plus too, the way we have treated addiction, the way we have treated addiction, not we the parents, but the medical professionals, the detoxes, you know, we have a long way to go with that. And I'm sure you can attest to the fact that when Frankie was alive and trying to get into detox or whatever, our system is very, very broken.
Mm-hmm.
It's not conducive to, in my opinion, it's not really conducive to recovery. We detox them and we get them out. We detox them and we get them out. Spin dry, you know, in, out, in, out. It takes a long time and a lot of support to help these kids, and it's a lifelong struggle.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't go away on its own.
No, absolutely not. You need meetings. You need counseling. You need total care.
Yeah.
when you look
The
at
programs aren't long enough, and then the support's not there after the program. And that's when they're most vulnerable to overdose, is when they've been clean and they're coming out of a program. And, you know, they make that, you know, poor judgment, you know, because it's always gnawing at them. And that's when they're most vulnerable, either to the fact that they're going back and using the same dose they used before and they don't have a resistance to it anymore, or they're getting the fentanyl because they're,
fentanyl.
you know, when they purchase off the street.
You know what I always found amazing is that they turn around and they give them a piece of paper and say, here you go, find a place.
Well, would you do that with somebody? It's a brain disorder, and the brain ends up, as a result of the drugs, altered. Okay, they have to treat it that way. Like, you wouldn't, if somebody had a stroke and they had damage from the stroke, you wouldn't treat them for a month and then say, now, okay, goodbye, go function in society. You're on your own. You wouldn't do that.
We have to admit that since they started looking at addiction and getting treatment centers here in Massachusetts, it's changed. Every time you turn around, they're trying to add a little bit more or try to make it better than it is by having even like meditation or yoga or what, because they do need something. They need to be able to deal with their addiction, and what can they do to help them.
Right, because it's not just getting the drug out of their system. You know, there's always a mental health issue behind the addiction, anxiety, depression, a sense of loneliness. So it's great, you know, to go into detox and get off the drugs, but you're still left with those things that tend to push you towards using, to self-medicate.
Right.
So we do have to be more open to treatment. We have to be, we need a better way to treat addiction.
Right.
Yeah,
And they need to know they're loved.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Every day you got to tell them how much they matter, because they do.
They do, right.
It's a good line from a John Hyatt song that I always liked, and I always think of Bryant now when or anybody, when I hear it. I used to not prior to this, but the line in the song was, there's no man so bad he cannot go home, yet so good that he passes each test.
It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. But I'm proud of all of you for what you do. And I do see a lot of the messages that are on Facebook. And I never get to like them all, but.
That's a full-time job in itself.
And sometimes.
Is that why you retired, Lynn? Lynn retired so that she could help more with team sharing. And you're doing a great job, because I look at all the messages that you're sending out there.
And again, it's
Something you have
selfish
to
on my
do.
part, though, because it's my process. It's the way I'm healing, you
Right.
know. So it's good for me. It may be good for other people, but it's definitely good for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And even when I first met Tracy, if she didn't help me, I would not have been in Washington that time. I think she held my hand through the whole process.
You imagine that the bus that we had that was going to take us down there, and of course now everybody's in bed already, and the next morning we're all meeting to go down there, and the bus company emails her like 8 hours before it's supposed to pick us up. We don't have a bus for you. The bus broke down. We don't have another one. And we're like,
that's why I drove all the way to Washington.
yeah, what are we supposed to do now? And I'm scrambling. Anybody, you know, on Facebook, my friends, anybody know anybody with a bus or this and that? And some good friend of mine said, hey, you can take my 15-passenger van, and other people got vehicles, and we caravanned.
You
That
did
was
a great
fun.
job.
That was fun.
It was fun.
No, I flew.
You flew. Oh, I bet. Well, and Cheryl was going to fly, Cheryl Jouer, and
Yeah.
she's like, no way. Now,
Yeah.
she ended up riding with us. She goes, if they're caravanning down there, I'm going with them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, a lot of us that didn't know each other before really bonded on that trip.
I think it's great. It really is great, because no one knows how it feels And I love all these expressions. Oh, I know how you feel. You don't know how I feel. You didn't lose a child.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have people that don't have anything to do with you because they don't know what to say to you.
Right.
Well, a lot of people are afraid they're going to remind you. You can't remind me I lost my son. I think about it every second of every day.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You're not going to remind me. Okay, if I tear up, that's okay.
That's
I'm
right.
glad you talked
We'll
about
just
him.
give you a hug. You're tearing up right now.
Yeah, I do. I do.
That's okay. Because that's how you have to let it out sometimes. You know? I wish I had a Kleenex for you.
Yeah, fine.
You know, these two are characters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have a
well-
lot of fun on the bus rides.
Oh, yeah. I enjoyed it myself. I crocheted all the way down there.
That beautiful Afghan, that blanket, it was gorgeous.
Well, Cheryl still has
I
it.
know she does.
I
know
said,
she
use it
does.
for next
Yeah.
year. You know.
But that's another thing that team sharing gets involved a lot in is the advocacy part of it. So in addition to the grief support, we are involved in advocacy. So we've gone down to Washington, D.C.
Several times.
several times. We have supported Maura Healey in Boston at the Suffolk County Courthouse. We've
Connecticut.
Yep, we marched in front of Purdue in Connecticut. So in Washington, we went to the FDA.
In the Fed Up rally and marched
Yeah.
to the White House from the
Yep.
rally there.
So
I was there too
yeah.
because I'm a part of team sharing.
So advocacy is important to team sharing as well, because we are, trying to get the word out in support of treatment, changes in the laws, anything that we can do to help with this crisis, because we're in serious trouble with this crisis.
And we're not trying to grow our organization. We can't make it smaller because, I mean,
Right.
we've all had the loss.
Like I said, it's a group that no one really wants to be a part
Right.
of.
And if it gets bigger, there are some people out there that don't know about us that, hopefully they'll join us as they learn about us. But we don't want it to get bigger because of more of this happening.
Right.
Right.
So if you go on Facebook and you go into team sharing, is it MA, Math, or?
Well, in
Math?
order to do that, you'd have to be a member.
Right. And the only way you could be a member is if you lost a child.
Correct.
Right.
There is a
We have a
criteria. You have a little-
website.
There is a website that you don't have to be a member, www.teamsharinginc.org,
Yeah.
which is our website. Anybody can visit the website and see, information about our chapters, what we do, the board of directors, the events, our fundraising events. But in order to access on the Facebook page, you would have to be a member of Team Sharing. It's a private group. You have to have lost a child to an overdose.
Right.
Excuse me. I'm hoping that I'm not getting sick.
Tomorrow might rain too.
Just,
You
yeah,
better be
tell
careful.
yourself it's allergies. Just keep telling yourself it's allergies.
Well, that's what I've been trying to do. Because I think I'm allergic to house dust. My house is not dusty. You know what it is? It's the heating system. There's
Yeah.
dust on the heating system.
Yeah, and now
I
that
put it
now that
on.
we've put the heat on,
Right.
It's dry
I'm
when
cold.
you turn the heat.
I'm old and cold.
Old and cold.
That's right. Woo!
no, not me. I've got my own layers. I've plenty.
No, but really, it's like the past couple of days, I could not get warm. So the heat came on.
Yep.
Yep.
And I heard it might snow on Friday.
Nah, that
Oh, I thought it was Thursday.
Oh, maybe. Maybe I have my days mixed up.
depends on which
Maybe I'm
computer
wrong.
model you listen to.
Yeah. But it's cold. It's cold.
Unbelievable. 39 this morning when I went to work. 39 is really not that cold, but I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be here yet.
Well, when you're 39 here, I'm close to 32 in Maynard, so
Really?
it's a little
Yeah,
colder
because
out
I'm
there.
near the water.
Yeah.
It's usually a little bit warmer. Unbelievable. So, what else are we doing? Well, we have here some notes.
Well, I was hoping that you would allow us to talk about safe consumption sites.
I will, obviously, that would be a
Okay.
great topic.
Okay. I don't know if you have any questions or about safe consumption sites, but safe consumption sites, as a lot of people may know, have been in the news a lot. Recently, there was a case down in Philadelphia where they were trying to open up a safe consumption site. It was actually called Safe House in Philadelphia. And it was a district attorney in Philadelphia actually tried to stop the process. It went to court, and the judge determined that it wasn't a violation of this old law called the Crack House Statute, I think it's called. So anyway, as you may or may not know, in Massachusetts, they did establish a harm reduction commission back in, I think it was August of 2018, so not that long ago. And there were, I think, 15 committee members, one of which was Marty Walsh, Mayor of Boston, who was totally against safe consumption sites at the time. Mary Lou Sutters, I'm trying to think, Mayor of Cambridge, I'm sorry, his name escapes me.
Is it McGovern?
Let me cheat. Where is he? Yes, McGovern. Well, you know, he's your neighbor.
I've only seen his signs lately.
Yeah. So, you know, several legislature representatives, a few individuals, Massachusetts residents, a lot of doctors were on this commission, and they actually went up to Montreal, Quebec, yep, to visit the safe consumption sites up there. I think there's over 100 safe consumption sites in the world.
I didn't know there was that many.
Yeah, I think it's over 100 in 11 countries. We have no legal safe consumption sites here in the United States. Again, it's that old crack house statute. But the commission went up to Montreal. They observed. Their charge was to look into harm reduction, how we can address the opioid crisis. So when they came back, the commission presented their report to the Mental Health and Substance Abuse Committee, and they were in favor of safe consumption sites. The main goal of a safe consumption site, obviously, is to save a life.
Right.
So
That would be harm reduction.
harm reduction, exactly. And harm reduction is naloxone, it's needle exchanges. There's a big umbrella of what harm reduction is. But a lot of people are uncomfortable with the fact that this would allow people to enter a facility and consume drugs. But what they have to realize is that, number one, it's just not a free-for-all.
Yeah, they're not there to party.
Yeah.
That's one of the other things that people don't understand. A lot of people, they think somebody who's addicted, they may have, everybody got, you know, some people got addicted because they were taking opioids after an injury or whatever. But let's say there was some young kid, you know, teenagers that we all know, even from when we were younger, don't have the best of judgment. And yeah, maybe at one point they made the choice to try something, or they were pressured to try something, and they were partying. But when somebody is addicted, they're not partying anymore. They're trying to survive.
Right,
And if anybody thinks, you know, okay, if your vision is methadone mild, does anybody down there look like they're partying and having a good time?
No.
That's not what it's all about. And the idea of somebody in going into a safe consumption site is, at least if something happens, there's somebody there that can help them. And if they're there enough and they develop a rapport with some of the professionals there and stuff, a couple of them may get into treatment. That's the point. In the meantime, you have to keep them alive.
Right. They can't recover if they're dead. I mean, that's the
Absolutely.
goal, is to keep them alive. And then, you know, a few other benefits of a safe consumption facility is that they would be given clean needles. So that reduces the risk of communicable diseases like AIDS and
Abscess.
HIV, abscess, yeah. They test the drug. They can have the drugs tested. I'm sorry, and if they test positive for fentanyl, the consumer could either choose not to use the drug or maybe use a little bit less. But in any event, there are professional medically trained people there to observe them in case of an overdose. And one thing I would like to say is that with all the safe consumption sites around the world, there hasn't been one fatal overdose. So it's a win-win in my opinion, but we just have to convince Mr. Baker and a lot of other people that it's just one tool in the toolbox to keep these people alive until they're ready to seek services.
Now, I remember when I was approached by State Representative Mike Connolly's aide had called me, and I said I didn't want to get involved. Mm-hmm. We're talking about maybe 2 years ago, and I've changed my mind. Mm-hmm. It took a while to get there, and it's like, would I not want to see my son alive? And would it have been better for him to have a place to use than for him to use in his room, and then my finding him dead?
Right.
I mean, I myself, it's, you know, I first time I ever heard of it, of course, I'm just hearing about a place for them to go use drugs.
Right.
I'm like, what? But, and be honest, I mean, I'm in favor of it myself personally.
Right.
I'm in favor of them now. I've changed my mind. I understand
probably
it now.
weren't in favor, like I wasn't in favor.
I
in the
wasn't.
I
very
wasn't
wasn't
initially.
either.
I wasn't initially.
Yeah.
And at the same token, it would not have saved my son, because I know there's not going to be one in Maynard,
Right.
you know, and it's not going to save everybody.
How do you know it wouldn't have been in Maynard?
Well, because Maynard doesn't have a drug problem.
Oh, okay. Oh, not my city, not my
Yeah,
town,
exactly.
Yeah.
not my high
But,
school.
I mean,
not my,
and let's face it, if they do have them, there's only going to be so many, and they're going to be where they're needed the most. Hopefully, I would certainly hope that they would, but I would also hope that they're placed strategically, so you're not just dumping everything in one area, like why we have a methadone mile. They're not going to create a methadone mile with these safe consumption sites.
right.
That wasn't created because of any one thing. I mean, everything is down there. But it wouldn't have saved my son. But
Right.
it's going to save, and it's not going to save everybody, but it's
Right.
going to save a lot of lives.
But I can tell you that if my son were alive today and we had a safe consumption site and the only one in the state of Massachusetts was in Boston, I would drive him.
Oh, I would too.
You know, and I think a lot of parents feel that way because it's all about keeping them alive just one more day. Maybe this is the day, you know, that they'll seek treatment and they'll be successful at it.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to that, these people using the safe consumption sites are treated with respect and dignity. They're treated as human beings, which is important, as we all know.
Absolutely.
So,
They deserve that.
yeah, they do. Every human being deserves that.
Right. To be treated with dignity.
Right.
And that's what's going to get them to the point where they start having some self-worth and realizing, I want to change this.
Remember we talked about it earlier, and I said to you, and I've said it many a times here, that, I'm sorry, I was just looking at those pictures. That's from the vigil, even though people can't see it. You see those, that
Yeah.
right there?
Yeah.
That's the vigil pictures. So it caught my eye, and I stopped talking. There's my son. Are you crazy?
Is that from your vigil?
Yeah,
The one in Somerville?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Actually, you know, the day that you were down for the vigil, we couldn't get the machine to work. So the next day, I did it here, read all the names,
Oh,
showed all the pictures,
Yep.
because I felt it was very, very important. Even if we weren't able to do it there, we were going to do it. Period.
Right.
Once a
Right.
year, I do that. Yeah. It's amazing, you know, what we've gone through in our lifetime. And I think, actually, my journey's been 10 years. It's been a long time.
Mhm.
You know, Frankie died in 2009. And a lot of there were no programs like they are
Right.
now.
Right.
Right.
You know, we didn't have treatment centers here. We had detoxes, and the Brockton Detox had just opened, the men's detox, and that's where Frankie was. And I remember going there. It was during the wintertime. Actually, Frankie asked me to section him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but yet on the way there, he's trying to get out of the car.
Yep.
But I had gone down and talked to the clinician, and we had all the paperwork done, and they agreed that he could go in. And, you know, he was there for it's up to the facility.
Yep.
After the judge deems that it's, you know, that it's a good thing that they should go, unfortunately, when they get to the facility and they go with the doctors may change the amount of days that they'll stay there, which is less than 2 weeks. But now we have a law that the insurance companies have to pay up to 14 days, and a lot of people don't know that, and they're let out 3 to 5 days.
You talking for detox?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, that the insurance companies have
They
to pay. They do.
Well, you know what? I mean, that's great. I think we have to put a lot of pressure on the insurance companies because they dictate how long in the treatment, and who the heck are they?
But
Really?
it's a bill
Yeah.
that they have to pay up to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know of it, but they can force it.
Uh-huh.
It's all about the dollar.
That's right. Well, we had a hearing on it, and it went through, and we tried to go for 28 days, and that hasn't happened yet. You know, they need a year and a half.
Oh,
You know, after
absolutely,
you go
yeah.
to detox, and then you find you have after treatment. That's why I think, in a way, I like Teen Challenge, because they're a long-term facility.
Yep.
It's proven that's what it takes.
Right.
I mean, it's no secret. You're not going to send somebody somewhere for 30 days and they're going to be cured of this.
No, it isn't.
No.
They may not need the drug, but the mind is still.
The brain's been trained, especially a young brain that was still developing when they were first being exposed to the drugs or even to alcohol. So it literally is trained, the brain, that it's required just like air, water, and food for survival.
Right.
And that's why they're incapable of thinking. You know, a rational person would say, I got to stop doing this. You know, I can't, you know, if I take that, that's bad for me. But that brain literally got them convinced. It's like telling them to stop breathing.
Just think, the adult mind is not fully developed until you're 26 years of age.
Right.
So what about the mind of the person that is addicted? How much?
While it's developing, it's getting these chemicals.
They might
in there
need
that are,
30 years
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
or 36 years. And then we're letting, here in Somerville, they unanimously voted to have 16-year-olds vote.
Oh, they did? I thought that was, they did vote yes on that?
No, it's at the state level.
Oh,
but
okay.
then
I was going to say, okay.
unanimously
Yeah.
they voted for 16-year-olds to vote when we know that their mind's not developed enough. But yet they can't buy cigarettes until they're 21. I just don't get it, but that's okay. That's my issue. That's my problem.
We can't solve all the problems.
Right.
Well, we can try. But no, I enjoy these people and what we've done. You know, I think it's great as a team with all the different groups, with Ryan Hampton, with the opioid spoon, with Dominic Esposito. It's remarkable, you know, how we all went together and we all went down to Washington, and although it was the worst day ever to be down there, and it was totally amazing to have it all play out for an hour, where the people were laying down on the ground with their tombstones, while we had the pictures of our loved ones, and the person that made all these posters was there. What was his name? Lou?
Oh, I don't know. Was Lou Corrado? Lou Corrado was a member of Team Sharing. She made all of these.
Right. But there were people that were standing there with these posters that day.
These posters?
Yeah. Or they had.
They had. I know some people had banners done.
All right, that's it. The
Yeah,
banners.
Yeah.
Because these would have gotten ruined in that rain.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I think New Hampshire was there. They had banners, I believe.
Right, and Nan's group had
Nan Golden.
banners up.
But that's what we need to do. We need to come together as a group. We need to set aside our egos if we have them, and just work together for the common cause, because it's such a powerful, and to me it's an overwhelming thought to try to tackle it, but together we can. Together we can.
Absolutely.
And we need to lean on each other, and we need to, you know, you might bring something to the table that I never thought of, and vice versa, and then we have people in recovery who can share their stories, and, you know, we realize their perspective. So it definitely is a collaboration, definitely.
It's my telephone. Do you like that noise?
Oh, I thought it was saying, time to get off
Yeah.
now.
No, actually, I don't even know.
But we talk
No,
about
we
these
still
events,
have 10 or 11 minutes.
Okay.
these events and stuff, but even just every day there's a lot of great people doing about it, and there, a lot of them are intertwined amongst the different groups. And actually some of the people, like you have Lynn and I here, you've had Cheryl here, people up, you know, we get recognized because we're on the board, but we have admins in every group and stuff that every day are doing, you know, you see the postings coming up and stuff. Well, the admins are responsible for that.
Right.
They're on top of everything, and every day they have to be going through all this stuff and keeping on top of it.
It's amazing because I have to admit that I have like it was the first show or the second show, but I had different groups here before Team Sharing was ever. But I had Magnolia New Beginning. Maureen Cavanaugh was here with Marianne Tina. You know, we have Cheryl Delfano, who is a part of our the City of Somerville Core program, and she's like jail diversion. And she has her own group called Family Anonymous in Medford. So she was here. We had Good Samaritans. We didn't know that they have their own group too. You know, and I'm trying to think who else. But there were 5 or 6 groups here. And it was really, really nice. And now I see how they've grown. Maureen wrote her own book. Marianne Tina ended up, she lost her son Brian. I think
He's on here. I'll find him. Let me see. Where is he?
Brian, where are you?
Wait a minute. I have to put my glasses
And
on.
these are by no means
Yeah, these are not all of
right.
the children we've
these
lost.
are
We
the
have
children
over
that people
500.
have asked to put on these. I mean, this is just a small number of.
And she works for Recovery Center of America. So like all of us are doing something to try to help deal with our own pain.
No.
There he is, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Brian's all the way up there.
Okay.
And he's a July baby too. But not July 16th. I was just amazed when I looked at his date of birth and I went, oh my goodness.
And his
he
son,
was.
I thought when his son was born, unfortunately, Bryant never got to meet his son. That's one of the things that really kills me. But his son ended up being born on the 13th, but I was just so convinced and holding like
they was
3
gonna be
more
born
days,
the
you know,
same
'cause it would
time.
just like, I would have been convinced that Bryant was hiding in him. You know, if he would have been.
Is there a lot of character?
Yeah, I see a lot of the good things of Bryant in him. Bryant, I could see from a very early age that, you know, I had fears of him having dependency issues. Hopefully, we didn't make that a self-fulfilling prophecy, but, you know, the personality traits that he had at a very young age and stuff. And there are people prone to addiction. It's a genetic thing.
Right.
Some people are prone to
Compulsive
dependency.
behavior.
And
It could be food, it could be alcohol, it could
Yeah.
be work. You know, it could be anything.
right.
Even exercising, you can overdo it.
But his son, boy, one I do see. I definitely see the good things, you know, in him from my son. And he's just, and his fiance, what a, you know, beautiful girl, and she didn't have issues herself. Bryant was met her at a church that he got very involved with. Bryant, a year before he passed, got rebaptized in a Baptist church, and they had a program there called Celebrate Recovery that he got involved with. And he met her through actually he got to know her father at the church first and became good friends with her father, and then met her. And, you know, she's just a sweet girl and stuff. And she knew Bryant had his issues and stuff, but she still fell for him. And
Why not?
they had a
Such
beautiful child.
handsome boy.
And our
Looks like his
grandchild.
dad.
Yeah. Our grandchild lives with her and her family. They were originally going to live with us. But they've just done such a fantastic job with him. And the kid's surrounded by love. He's just a happy, but he's just surrounded by love all the time. And we have a great relationship with them, their family.
But that's a good
And I've always told, you know, I tell her, you know, I will always consider her. Now she's a young, beautiful girl, and she's recently started seeing somebody, and not really nice kid, which is all I care about. And
Right.
Tyler, my grandson, loves him and stuff. And it's tough to see the things that my son should be experiencing
Right.
and someone else is. But still, he really seems to be a great kid, and he really seems to love Tyler, and Tyler adores him. And, you know, she still holds that, you know, you still see the things she still thinks about Bryant too. And
Well, that'll probably never go away.
but yeah, they're great. We're very close with all of them. We see them regularly. We babysit Tyler now and then, and she comes by for visits and stuff, and she's, you know, always communicating with us and stuff. So we're very blessed. That's not the same for everybody. That's, you know, and I said there are a lot of heartbreaking stories out there too with people with grandchildren. They don't get to see them, and, you know, after something like this.
It really is tough. Well, we never get to have them. I
Right.
mean, I do
Right.
have,
Yeah.
I have 2 grandchildren. I love them. They're my Patrick's son and daughter. But Frankie, you know, I look back at him, you know, he was 32 when he passed. And you figure he was 21 when he got addicted. And he never really got to enjoy life. Never got to go out on, you know, like see the world. Or all he had to do was worry about where he was going to get his drugs every day to take care of his addiction. Because if you didn't, what happens? You know?
Yep.
It's a really, he used to worry about that. And I think that's why when I had sectioned him and we were going to the courthouse, he was thinking about withdrawal and the pain.
Right.
That's
and
involved
that's the
with
other thing
withdrawal.
a lot of people don't understand. It is real physical pain. It's real physical pain. And that's why they're feeding one of the reasons they're feeding their addiction is it's
they
a
don't
form
want
of
that pain.
self-medication, right? It's to avoid the
Well,
pain.
it's to keep them from getting sick.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unbearably sick.
Right.
Yeah.
And the pain is there.
Yeah.
But while we were on the subject of grandchildren and stuff too, that's as far as team sharing and the things that right now we're getting into the swing of, we do the Christmas party every year for the grandparents and the
That's
grandchildren.
really nice.
And
And don't you even like do something up like a Canopy Lake or one of those? You take the kids there.
Well, we haven't done that yet. This is the third year we're working on the Christmas
Christmas
party
party,
for the
yeah.
children. We've purchased backpacks for the grandchildren. We just finished winter coats.
Coat drive, yeah.
Yep. So, unfortunately, we've lost our children, but the children have lost either a mother or a father, in some cases both. If they're either being
Right.
raised by a grandparent or they're in foster care. So we try to help in whatever way we can.
Right.
So, yeah.
We have to give them hope.
Oh, absolutely.
And the Christmas party's just fantastic, and the kids love it. The one thing that sticks with me is the one kid he was quoted in
Well,
the
I'm
paper
just going to
too.
have to come anyway and visit and see it.
Oh, there's
I don't
one of
wanna
these
have
kids
grandchildren.
he was
I'm
quoted
afraid
in the
he didn't have
paper,
any.
and then when people were leaving, we were giving the families as they left a box of C's candies, chocolates, and stuff. And I can remember I was down at the table handing them out as people were leaving and coming down. I'm asking people how they liked the party, and I said, one young kid, I says, so that's it. He just screamed out, "Best day ever!" And he was actually quoted in the paper from earlier being asked too, same thing. And I'm like, I remember that kid. And there was I believe it was twin boys, right? That
Yes.
that all they wanted, and this Christmas party, we get the kids what they want. It's not just we'll get some random presents, age appropriate, and give it to them. We
Right.
find out
Right.
what they want, and all they wanted was a purple shirt with their father's picture on it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, these poor kids don't have them anymore.
No, I know.
And it's such and they care about them and they love them and they miss them every day.
But it's good for the grandchildren, I think, to be together with other kids.
Right. They
They're
bond
the same,
friendship. They
yeah.
form friendships.
And,
Yeah,
and then the grandparents, I think it's a great time for them to socialize with other grandparents who are raising their grandchildren or, struggling because they lost a child and their child left a child behind. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. And
yeah.
for me, the first Christmas we lost Jeff, I hated Christmas. Christmas was Jeff's favorite holiday, and it just wasn't the same.
Right.
So the second year, I got involved in the Christmas party, and I got to tell you, it picked me right up. I had so much fun seeing the little kids just
Right,
having
enjoying themselves.
so much fun. It was.
Did you act like a little kid yourself?
I think I behaved.
She always acts like a little kid.
I think I behaved.
I'm sure you did, Lynn. Guess what?
Is it
We have
time?
15 seconds.
Oh.
15 seconds.
Yeah. We'll still be on YouTube, but
Okay.
the TV will go on to the next show. But I want to thank both of you for coming. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Thank you for
did.
having
Thanks for having us.
We really
Anytime.
appreciate
I
it.
wanted people to know how much, team sharing grew, as a program and all the different states that are getting involved. And that you don't have to be alone.
Right.
Right.
And we're thankful to know you, too. And we've only known you because of team sharing. And we love you.
And I love you too.
Thank you.
I think it's great. I really do. I love all my warrior moms and dads, and what we've done to help ourselves heal. We will never get over the loss of our children, but in many ways together we can comfort each other and get through that loneliness.
Yep.
And we feel it.
I consider this my new family.
We had so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, and it is great to be with people that can understand if you want to cry. It's okay to laugh if you want to laugh. It's
And you know what? Even
a
if you want
great-
to talk about your story,
yeah.
Right.
the floor is open to anyone that needs to talk, and be able to express themselves with other people that have been in the same situation.
And outside of people that are experiencing the same thing, they just think it's at some point you get over it. You don't. And if,
Oh, I
and if
love
they
it.
see you
Don't
laugh,
you think it's about time?
right? And
remember when
but
my
you know what?
mother had
I
passed.
I don't get upset with it. I know a lot of people get upset with that, and I see posts, and I understand people getting upset with that, especially when it's coming from a family member, an extended family or something, and they think, shouldn't you be over it by now? But I just think, I'm thankful for them that they didn't have to experience it. That's great that they're, ignorance is bliss, and that's great. That's, I'm glad you don't feel what I feel. I don't begrudge them that. But, people don't understand too, though, once they see you laugh, oh, they must be
Over
okay
it.
now. I'm not okay.
No.
I laugh all the time, but
None
I'm
of
not
us are
okay.
okay. We're
And
broken.
the first time I ever laughed, I felt guilty for laughing.
Right, right.
But we're all broken.
Right.
And we're all going to stay broken because we've lost a part of our heart. There's no, my son fought to come into this world. He was 7 weeks early. And then to see him struggle on the way out. It's sad. It really is sad. I love you guys.
Thank you. We love you too.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, you're welcome.
Good night, everyone. Oh, thank you. No, that's okay. You can say good luck tomorrow.
Good luck tomorrow.
Good luck tomorrow.
Hope you win.
We can undo our thing, and I'm going to shut it off. We're still online.
Can I pop this?
Let me tell some jokes.